Hello everyone. It is Carlton with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Premier Properties. And today I am bringing you Real Estate Basics, episode number 9. I can't believe we're already on 9. That's crazy. Today we're going to be talking about home inspections and some things to consider with your home inspection, whether this is tough and it's kind of tricky, you guys. So I'm going to give you kind of a whole lot of information. It's all going to depend on many different things. What state do you live in? Because the state's going to have requirements on the inspector themselves. Some states regulate that it has to be a licensed inspector. Some states say that they have to be qualified or have a designation. Each state is going to be different. So your real estate professional can advise you on what meets the requirements for inspectors in that area. And then we'll dive into 2 different types of testing you can do. And some of those need a licensee to perform them, and some of those don't. And you might be a home inspector, but you might not be licensed in radon or something like that. And lastly, we'll touch on things you need to know in different areas. If you're rural, you're going to need more testing than if you're in town, most likely, depending on the town. If it's a really small town, you might be basically going back to those rural activities. So starting off, let's come back into diving a little bit deeper into home inspectors. It's really important to ask around, make sure you're getting a good one and they're a good fit. They should be licensed or at least have some sort of accreditation certifying that they know what they're doing. There's many different ways you can go about it. Definitely talk to your real estate professional and see if you're looking in North Dakota, what the requirement is. If you're looking in Minnesota or California, they're all going to be different. So if you're looking in 2 states, it might vary a little bit too. You know, but we're right on the border here for Fargo Moorhead. Sometimes people look at both sides. That will vary a little bit. Minnesota and North Dakota are pretty similar on saying that it's at the buyer's discretion. For a standard home inspector, they should have some sort of certification, but they don't require a specific license for their home inspector. When it comes to radon testing, that's a different ballgame. Minnesota heavily regulates the radon testing. They want it dropped off by and picked up by a licensed radon inspector. So know that if you're doing radon testing, especially when you're dropping it off, it needs to be set up in a very specific manner. So just having someone put it out, like I wouldn't know where to put it. I wouldn't get accurate results because I'm not certified. I'm not licensed in that. So knowing, I guess, that is something to be aware of, making sure that the inspector themselves are setting those tests. On both sides of the river. North Dakota doesn't require it, but really it could affect your results. So that's something you want to make sure you're in the know on. Your real estate professional is going to be in the know on it and make sure that's being handled properly. Yeah, that kind of covers that. Another thing to think about if you're in an existing neighborhood with old trees, that's an older home, you might have one of those old cast iron sewer stacks, in which case you might want to get a sewer scope done. Those are kind of tricky because if they're clearing out the scope, if they have to clear the sewer line to get the scope down there and something were to break, the seller still owns the property, not the buyer. So not every seller is going to allow you to do the testing. You might have to take a gamble on that. Some will. And each sewer scope company is different on where the liability falls if something goes wrong. Some companies might cover that, the sewer scope company. Other companies are going to put that liability on the seller, and the seller's probably not going to want that. So just calling around, finding different professionals, seeing how it works best for everyone involved, something to consider. Now, let's say we're talking rural. You're going to go buy a lake home. Who doesn't want a lake home right now? Me too. I'm with you. It's on the goals list. Get a lake home. If you're looking at a lake home, a farmstead, a property in a really small town that doesn't have city water, city sewer, or maybe they have city water but not city sewer, you're going to need to look at septic inspection. septic disclosures, well inspection possibly. You might even run into a shared well situation and a shared well agreement. So there's all different kinds of things you could come across, and having different inspectors to help you along the way. I know one of the inspectors that I use, who's a saint. I absolutely love him. He gives great information without spooking anyone off on here's some things that need to be done with the home. This could be like a list for you to take care of in the future. And this thing, maybe that should be taken care of right away. That might be something you want to talk to the seller about, or know that you'll need to get it fixed sooner than later. He also, when we're in the rural area, has collected water samples for water tests, so well testing. So he will collect the sample when he's there for the home inspection and send that off to the appropriate place that's going to do the test for the well. On that part, you're going to need to coordinate with your lender a little bit too, to see what levels they need where for the water to move forward. There's so much more to everything than anyone ever really thinks, right? You probably weren't expecting to go on this big old rabbit hole that we're on right now, but there's a lot to inspections, the different types of inspections you could have, and the different types of inspections you need in certain areas. Minnesota just last year implemented that for a well or a septic certification, which when you transfer property in Minnesota, you have to get that certified, that the septic needs to be pumped completely before the certification. So that's a new change in Minnesota. So far it's been working pretty seamlessly. There's a couple of people I have out there in the Otter Tail County area who one septic certification guy has a sump pump service that he's very familiar with, and he kind of tells him, go do it, and then I'll be right out. So that's nifty. They're wonderful. And if you ever want information, reach out to your real estate professional first and foremost, of course. If you don't have someone and you're looking for that information, I'm more than happy to share my top go-tos with you too. I trust them completely, and I'm happy to give you that information. Let's see here. Yeah, just knowing who you've got working for you means a ton. So be a little picky about who you get for your home inspector. It's the most expensive doesn't mean the best always. One other thing that we run into from time to time that I don't get, that I'm not a huge fan of, is a company that tests for something and also mitigates for something. Personally, I don't see how that's not a conflict of interest. I just don't get it. And maybe that's just me. But I would be asking those questions too. Like, do you also correct this, or do you just do the testing and then you go somewhere else to get it corrected? Yeah, just something to keep in the back of your head. Let's see here. You hear about like lead-based paint testing and stuff like that. I've never actually had someone do it. That would be really intrusive. I think you'd have a hard time getting that. Or like mold testing, also very intrusive. I think you'd have a hard time getting that. And when we talk of intrusive testing, we're talking about any time that you're like cutting into a wall or cutting into something. And if you even get permission to do that, you need to restore it to its prior condition before doing crazy testing like that. So yeah, we've got well testing, septic testing. We talked about radon testing, which that is that gas that can come in through the drain tile, come in through your sump pump. That is a carcinogen. For sure, if you have anyone living in your basement, you probably want to get that test done. If not, it's kind of at your own discretion, whatever your comfort levels are. One house could be 2 picoliters and another one right next door could be 20. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to how radon testing comes in. So it's something to consider. Do some research online if you're about to get a home inspection, see where you feel on that. The EPA standard for the United States is 4 picoliters or less. And to add a radon mitigation system, that's right around $1,300 to $1,700. So it's not a huge deal breaker of an expense, but it's something to consider. Let's see here. Yeah, your home inspector is just going to go through, check all the appliances, look at the home, see if there's anything that could be a structural issue. it's a snapshot in time. So they're going to run all the faucets, see if there's any leaks. They're going to crawl in the attic, crawl in the crawl space, see everything they can within about an hour to 2 hour window. And it gives you a good idea on some stuff you've got coming down the pipe, but it doesn't mean that you move in and 2 weeks later you've got a leaky pipe when you take your showers. Sometimes things happen and they can't catch everything. It's just a good to do. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything for home inspectors. Shop your home inspector like you'd shop your lender, your real estate agent. Ask around, ask your real estate professionals, your lender, your realtor, your any just friends, whoever recommended your realtor. Hey, Dewey. Just ask everyone you know, kind of see what's the good fit for you. Check into what they are and or are not certified in. If your home inspector isn't licensed in Minnesota to be doing radon testing, you need to find someone else. You could still use them for the home inspection, but Minnesota does have an actual statute on they have to be licensed in Minnesota to do the radon testing. North Dakota is pretty lax about most things, so you don't have to be. It's still a good idea to be, though. So, yeah, I think that's about it. When you get rural and you get out into Lakes area, you're going to need to know more information, but you can cross that bridge when you get there. Your realtor will be able to help you with that. If you ever have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. If you come up with a question while you're watching this, put it in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer those, or private message me and I will get those answers for you. Yeah, please, if I have one request from you guys, either private message me or put it in the comments below or send me a text and let me know what you would like to hear about next month. Still just kind of randomly drawing things that I think might be good for you to know, but I would love to hear about what you want to hear about. Or maybe in a segment I started talking about something and you want to know more about that. I'm happy to do another real estate basics on whatever that might be. Okay, so you guys take care, have an awesome day, enjoy the weather, enjoy summer while we have it, and let me know what you want to hear about. Let me know if you have questions. Take care. Bye now.